Now I will pass it to Carlos, who is the Nat Geo iNaturalist expert. He's in charge of the citizen science program at the National Geographic. He works with other colleagues, and he will explain us a bit about how to use iNaturalist, how to create your projects for the activity, among other cool juicy stuff on this iNaturalist app. Thank you, Carlos, and thank you, Vera.
Carlos, I'm going to make you host now, okay? So are you going to be sharing your screen?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jens. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Cara, for leading this worldwide effort. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's really the best way to start a Monday morning to gather with people from across the planet to talk a little bit about iNaturalist. And well, this being here will really give you the sense of not being alone in this fight to preserve and to share the knowledge of our river. Sometimes I know that we feel that we are alone fighting for nature, fighting for rivers, but I think this is the perfect example of, okay, there are people across the planet, no matter where you are, that we really are struggling for saving or preserving or making our rivers a better place. Not just the rivers, I mean, for maybe some other ecosystems. So some of you already know what iNaturalist is, and I know some of you have really good experience on this. Before we get started, we really want to take care of people who's not experienced with iNaturalist, and I want to share a little bit about why we are using this tool, this platform, and hopefully this will work well. And sharing my screen. Sometimes it goes wrong, but hopefully you will be seeing my screen right now. So yes, I'm work for the citizen science team on National Geographic, along with Dr. Teresa Leonardo, who is the head of this right now, this part of the National Geographic Society. And one of the greatest things that National Geographic has been interested in is to join into this partnership with iNaturalist. And I think it's the perfect match for people across the planet to join this kind of activities. And since we are facing a biodiversity crisis, no matter where we are in the planet, we are losing biodiversity, even in our very backyard. So iNaturalist is just this fantastic tool to share nature, to get in touch with nature. iNaturalist is not about gathering scientific information. Of course, that's one of the outcomes of being an iNaturalist participants, but iNaturalist was designed to actually just go back in touch with nature. So no matter if you are not a biologist, actually iNaturalist is not meant for biologists, it's meant for people. It's meant for the general public, the local community, to get back in touch with nature. How is this going to be acquired? Well, using technology. It's a web-based platform, but it also have a mobile app, both for iOS and Android. So you doesn't have to be a professional photographer, and make sure you communicate that whenever you are outreaching to your local community. You don't need to have expensive equipment. You don't need to have like a professional camera, the latest cell phone. It's just having the interest to take photos or record sounds from whatever organism that you might come across anywhere in the planet. This, of course, fits perfectly with some of the National Geographic citizen science goals, because it really managed to empower local community, people who doesn't feel related to biodiversity. Sometimes biodiversity is just like a strange word for most people, but with this kind of tools, it can really bring more sense to people to join in and, well, start documenting biodiversity or just getting in touch with nature. iNaturalist is, well, on my side, what I think is just, oh, come on. Just skipping, hopefully. Just this big community across the planet is not an isolated effort, it's not an isolated project. And this is what I want to show this slide. There are many countries that has now joined in as a national node for iNaturalist. iNaturalist started back in 2013 within the state of California. And after that, a few years after, we have nearly 20 different countries from across the planet joining in, even joining their national efforts to fit iNaturalist has become part of this worldwide effort. Why to join this? And now I'm gonna switch again to the main iNaturalist page. And I'm going to show you what really global means for iNaturalist. It has nearly 80 millions of observations across the planet, more than 300,000 species already documented, because people are joining in. How many people? How much people? Well, we're about to reach 2 million, hopefully by the end of the year. and this, I think it really gives a sense of how much people is getting interested or gaining interested in joining this kind of activities. And remember that I told you that iNaturalist is not meant for biologists. If you don't know biodiversity, or you are just getting into biodiversity studies, or you just don't know what you might find around your house, your local park, your local river, this is one of the greatest things about iNaturalist. It has a community of people who does identifications of what you are seeing. And look at this number, 200,000, sorry, identifiers on the iNaturalist. You can see here that iNaturalist is now on Spanish. So I'm gonna try to change this, because this is multi-language.
So we're really excited that this is an event where actually people can use their local knowledge and using the app.
I think Alejandra has her. She's not in a picture.
Oh, let me try if I can see if I can mute this.
And this is connected.
Okay. Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah. Don't worry if you are seeing my screen in Spanish for iNaturalist. You can see here that there are many languages to choose for. I'm gonna switch to English, so I hope it makes more sense for some of us, or most of you. English, here it is. So talking about iNaturalist is not that difficult. Is not, you shouldn't be scary of using this kind of web platforms. It's not different for any other social media. If you are not experienced, and I have to say this, we have limited time today, so I'm gonna try to explain as much as I can. But remember, if you ever feel that you need extra support with iNaturalist, do not hesitate to call Jens or to call me for extra support on this. If you have any kind of questions, remember that we have the WhatsApp group for us to help you in any kind of questions about how to use iNaturalist. And okay, Jens already showed us what it looked like the last year Home River Bioblitz. This is the 2020 project, and what we did is to create an umbrella project to shelter. Okay, there's a lot of projects here. So every Bioblitz was asked to create an individual project, so we can put them all together in this umbrella project. How does it look? One of the individual projects on the iNaturalist from the last year, Home River Bioblitz. This is it. And I'm gonna put this in the chat so you can maybe take a look later on. You might open this and use it later on. Setting up projects can be sometimes challenging or frightening, but you shouldn't be. It's not actually that kind of hard, and we're gonna see this later on. We also will need to learn how to create a place on iNaturalist, because this way we will manage to gather the biodiversity of our rivers. There has been some changes on how to create places also, because you will need them to create probably on Google Earth. You cannot create places anymore directly on iNaturalist. You will need to upload a KML file. But again, we got your back and we'll be trying to help you all along. For some of you, if you are totally new on iNaturalist, there are very, very cool tutorials on how to add your observations on iNaturalist. And I'm gonna share also in the chat these video tutorials. But again, I'm gonna try to share a different screen here, and I hope this works, because sometimes it doesn't, and to share how it will be looking into the iNaturalist app. Just hold on a moment, and hopefully you will be seeing my cell phone screen in a couple of minutes. Yes. Okay, let's say that this is how the iNaturalist app looks like. This little green dove or bird, sometimes it's just a bird. This is iNaturalist, and iNaturalist will appear on any part of the world as this. We used to have here for Spanish speakers Naturalista, but it's now iNaturalist. So you can download this on your cell phone. Remember, it doesn't have to be any specific kind of cell phone. It works for iOS or works for Android. I'm having an Android. They look slightly different, but they work pretty much the same. One thing that I would recommend, especially for new users, if you're a new user, wait, why is, okay, sorry about this again. Oh, come on, make me look bad in here. Behave. For new users, it will be really, really important to go to your settings, just here, and just please remove the automatic upload, because it will burn all your data from your plant. So I really, really advise to new users to just uncheck this one. You can leave the suggested species. You can choose whether if you want to see scientific name first or common name first. If you are in a specific network, you can choose, I mean, this is the global network for countries that doesn't have a national network. But if you are located in Colombia, in New Zealand, Portugal, Ecuador, Australia, Argentina, you will have your very own network. Especially in Latin America, there's a very nice number of countries that already have their national network. You can see here that I'm located in Naturalista, Mexico here. So that's it. One other important setup is, please, especially for new users, use a default license that brings with iNaturalist. This will allow all your observations, all your informations to be so it can be used in other places like GBIF for research purposes. So make sure you have also this kind of default licenses. Of course, you can choose from the more restrictive, like no license, but this won't allow any of the information to be used like for other scientists or any other websites like GBIF to use this information. So you can see here that I have attribution non-commercial default license on my observations and also my informations. And again, I'm just very quickly going to show how to upload this kind of, how to upload the observations of iNaturalist. And again, it's not that different from using any other social network app. You can just click the green button at the bottom of the screen, and it will prompt a couple of options. It says no media. I don't recommend any of the observations to be added with no media, because that's the evidence that it will help you to identify or to record actual biodiversity. I don't also recommend you to take photos directly from the media, which is the green camera in the center. I will strongly recommend you that you, during any activity, you just focus yourselves on taking photos or recording sounds of biodiversity. So if you already have like photos, you can just document. And let's say that this morning I just I can go to my photos gallery and I will look at all the photos that I have, even memes, and I can just choose from them, like this spider. You can see that I am just selecting or clicking on the photos. You can add different photos from the same organism in a single observation, but please don't mix different organisms in the same observations. You can see here that I did mix photographs from different organisms. I have a spider, I have these plants, and I have this grasshopper. Please don't do that. I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm gonna delete this one. Looks like my screen just blurred. Oh, here it is again. Good. So I can add another image from the same organism here. So again, I'm just gonna add this one. One thing I didn't mention at the beginning is it's really, really important that you know that you should turn on your GPS on your cell phone. If you have a camera with the with an integrated GPS, that's really, really important. Why? Because iNaturalist will gather the geographical informations that it's tagged along with any photos that you might be taking. So you can see here that at location, it was added automatically. And if we made any kind of mistake, we can always edit, like this spider I took just around this tree. So I can just move it along and edit. So this is really, really important, especially communicate this to your audience. If you're gonna be hosting a small group on the Bioblitz, remember to tell them to turn on the GPS on your camera. And that's sometimes tricky because
Carlos, can I quickly interrupt you? Speaking of hosts, would you be able to admit some people into the room real quick?
Yes. Sorry, because I'm
so sorry. Yeah, because you're
no, that's okay, because I right now that I'm presenting with this since I'm presenting the sorry.
No, totally
for letting me know.
Our fault. You go to participants.
No, it's okay.
Click on participants.
Yeah, they're joining, I think.
Okay, great. All right, continue.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry, Carlos.
Yeah, don't hesitate to interrupt me. That's okay. And
we still have 15 minutes.
Yes, thank you for letting me know that. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Sorry.
And again, let's see. This is just I was trying to make sense for all the new participants. So, and finally, remember, and observations have very important things. I mean, the evidence, which is the photo or sound, the time and date, which pretty much came automatically. Just make sure you have the right time and date on your cell phone, and also the locations. And remember, iNaturalist is not meant for you to know everything that you are observing. We have this amazing community of identifiers, but also we have technology to help us all the way to try to get to know what we are seeing. You can see here that it says "¿Qué viste?", which in English will be "What did you see?" And these options will give you suggestions of what you might be seeing or what this image might be looking like. And let me tell you, it's really scary, encouraging, positive. I don't know what to tell, because this kind of image recognition, it's really getting good at identifying images. Right now, it's giving me the correct genus for this spider, and the first option is actually the correct species for this. So remember, these are just suggestions, but sometimes they are really accurate. You can see here that we have a couple of arrows here. You can compare your actual photograph to some of the reference image that you might have for that species. But that, again, this is very, very accurate. And I have to say also, okay, iNaturalist is pretty much meant for wild organisms, things that doesn't have the intervention of humans. I mean, you can post like your cat, your dog, maybe for training, but it's not advised to actually focus on captive or cultivated organisms. We have some extreme cases in some other activities that students go to the supermarket and take photos of vegetables, but please don't do that ever. So you can mark here that if it's a cultivated or captive species, but try not to focus on that. So after you are done here, you can just click on this green check mark, and you see that it's an upload option. This is why I unchecked the automatic upload. So right now I am connected to a Wi-Fi network, so I can just upload it. Remember, for the River Bioblitz, you don't have to upload the images of the observations of the biodiversity that you record at that specific time. I mean, you can just focus on taking pictures and then just take a little bit of your time and then upload it in your home or whatever you feel like that's the proper place to do it. So I'm gonna try to move a little bit faster because I know, again, that we have limited time. Jens, correct me, we're doing okay on time?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Don't worry, Carlos. I will let you know, and then we have Q&As. And I insist that if anybody has more questions on technical things, we will have a moment to discuss that. We may meet another moment. Yeah, so just go with the flow, Carlos. You're doing it really well.
Thank you, thank you. And yes, again, remember that we can later on have like more individuals on one-on-one sessions for all of you if you are new users of iNaturalist. This should be now showing in English. Here we go. Okay, remember that I mentioned that we needed to create projects and places. This is really, really important so we can gather all the rivers in one single project. You will have a tab which says more, and then this is places. Please don't be afraid of this. This is just part of setting things together. And if you already have your river created, that's perfectly. But if there's a new river that you will be adding, you will just go to add place. And adding a place, it will give you a warning that if you don't need to create a new place, please don't. So most of the river, the local conservation is not yet on iNaturalist. This is why it's really important so we can create our rivers. And it's not really that difficult. You just have to name the river, whatever the name is. You just put like my river. Sometimes it's okay to say like my river, Nuevo León, Mexico, and you will have to put a parent place. If you're living in Mexico and your river goes from more than 2 states, you can just put Mexico in here, and it will give you, okay, zone, US border, center of Mexico, Mexico state. Sometimes somewhere around here should be something that says Mexico country. I just don't see. Here it is, Mexico country. If you are living in a smaller place, you can just type a district, a state, a county, municipality, whatever your local geographical, political divisions are, just type that as the name of the parent place. And here's the tricky part. I mean, before a few months ago, you can draw by hand your river around here, but now it looks like you have to do this. The easiest way for me, it will say that this is on Google Earth, that you can draw the boundaries of your river and then save the file as KML, and then just go select and upload it. Then the final step is to select what kind of place you are uploading. And what I will advise is to say open space. I think this is what fit most of the rivers that we have, like open spaces or place of interest. But then this is the basic things to create a new place. And finally, please never forget to check this one. Check list allow. Yes. This will create an automatic list of the species on that specific place. So please, name, parent, upload KML, open space, and checklist allow. I'm not going to save this one, but this is the basic outline of how to create a place. Again, if you have any questions later on, do not hesitate to give us a message, send us an email, or if you need another online session for you and your team, let us know, please, on that. After you create this this places are important to set up projects. You can go to community on the main web page, and you can go to projects here. And it will prompt different kind of, oh, this is a very good one. First known photograph of living specimens. This is a great project. But then you can start a project in here. You just click on start project, and you will have prompt two kind of projects. Umbrella projects, which is not for you. If you are doing an individual bioblitz, you will have to create a collection project. You just gonna go to get started in here. And again, it's really easy. You just name the project. You can see that the names of some of the already created project is Home River Bioblitz 2001 / Rio Santa Catarina. This is located within my city. And another one, it's Home River Bioblitz 2021 Rio La Silla River. So you can name this way, so we can have like a standard name for this. I think Jens can give you a little more heads up on this, but I think it's really open for anyone to choose. You can see that all this kind of project icon, banner icon, these are cosmetic. So your project looks pretty. Then type a little bit on what the project is about. Just make this like this collection project. And observation requirements. This is where it might be a little tricky for some of you. Just include taxa, leave it blank. Don't type anything in here. Don't type anything in users. Just include the name of your river. Just that. That's the only thing. If you have different river segments, you can include several places here, but you can see here that in this project is just location here, just one river. And again, location here is just one river. So remember, leave taxa and leave users in blank and just select one river in here. Also, I don't recommend to choose the project members only, because this will force users to actually click on join the project here. So sometimes it will mislead some of the participants, and their observations won't be showing. But again, this is another more personal choice, especially for more experienced users. So data quality, this is another important one. If you want everything to be gathered by your project, you just include casual, but casual will also include cultivated or captive species. I think it's more healthy if we leave just research grade and needs ID. And media type, just put any, that's okay, and establish any. So we can track introducers or invasive species and native species. And finally, the Home River Bioblitz has some specific dates. You can see here that it's meant for September 24 to September 26. That will be a couple of days. So you can just choose range of dates. When you choose range of days, let's say 24, you can see that appears with time here. This is very important because you will need to delete the time, but not the date. And I'm gonna end this on the 26th. And I'm gonna delete the date. So we have whole days here, starting at midnight, just in case that some of you wanna go really, really early the first day and end it by midnight of the last day. This is really, really important. We can see here that let me see if I can turn this in English. Okay, project requirements. You see here, it's all taxa, just one location, users, any, quality grade, well, here's research grade, needs ID, and casual. That's okay. Media type, any. And finally, the date, September 24. But here, you can see that it's marked from a certain time. So I need to call my good friend Leo and ask him to delete this, this time. So if anyone goes before this time, the observations will not be showing within the project. And you can see here that this river crosses my city. This is my beautiful 4 million polluted city, and we have a beautiful river crossing this one. So remember, it doesn't matter if you have one observer, two observers. This is a good example of 3 people going on their own and facing the dangers of finding biodiversity. This is from last year, and we managed to look for 136 species and 226 observations. This is how your project will look after the event, full of observations. And don't worry, the projects will automatically be collecting all observations that meet the requirements that we set up on them. Remember, your community, your team, yourself will not be having to worry about sending the observations to the projects. They will do that for you. And remember, again, I'm going really, really fast. And if you are new users, don't feel frightened, don't feel intimidated, because after this one, we'll be around for any kind of questions. And I'm not missing something of the basics. Jens, any highlights, comments?
Yeah, I think we are on time, Carlos. It was really well done. I just think that, like you said, it's very important. This looks like a lot, but it's not. It just looks like that. It's really, really, really easy. We had the same process last year. It was like, wow, that's a lot. In the end, it was like, wow, this is really fast and easy to do, as long as any question is, answered by somebody that already did that. And in that sense, also just to remind you, we have this date. It's Friday to Sunday. We did it longer than last year, so school students can also take part, for example, at Friday. So the idea is you take the pictures during the weekend and also on Friday. But if you upload it, for example, on Monday or Tuesday, it's also okay, because as long as the picture has the date between Friday and Sunday, it will be part of the project automatically. So everything happens automatically. And that's also important to know. And also just insist you that iNaturalist is important, but even more important is to be out there, like interacting with species, like being aware of these other neighbors that you will live at the river. So Carlos, thank you a lot. I don't know if you have anything to add. We have still around 15 minutes for Q's and A's, and we have some questions. But I don't know if you yourself want to finish something, Carlos.
No, just I'm gonna wait, but just the question that Zuleika just asked. Don't worry if you feel that you made any mistake, because there are no mistakes in setting up projects. You can always edit places, you can edit observations, you can edit anything on iNaturalist. So you find like, oh, I missed this little spot, like the one that you were telling me, is like that. Okay, I forgot to check this. You can do it later. Don't worry. So that's really, really important to know.
Thank you, Carlos. So is there any other question that you may want to write on the chat and ask yourself? We have 10 minutes until James and Jelena present a bit about some techniques of identification on the field.
Maybe just mention again, remember, iNaturalist is not meant maybe for biologists, where you be outside, whether if you're alone or small groups. Make sure people doesn't feel like, oh, I gotta go through a lot of technical things. I mean, it's just taking photos and then just using the app later on to upload those. It doesn't have to be like hundreds of observations. Sometimes, well, some certain users we do that, but no matter if just 1, 2, 5, 10, the one that counts is that, okay, you are being out there for the river and you want to share with people. So make sure also to take good photographs of all of you out there with your groups, if you're going out to groups. And a final COVID safe comment. I don't know how you guys are doing all over your countries. We're facing the downfall here of a third wave. Make sure you wear your proper safety measures and stay safe at all times. Avoid large crowds, and remember to stay safe whether you are in your local community. So I'm gonna make Cara again host. Cara. Where are you?
We have
I think there was one question
questions.
in, yeah. So like from Malaysia, question. Maybe she's there herself.
I think it's
otherwise I can read it from the chat.
Carlos already answered that question, Vera. It's the one
to recreate the place. Okay.
Yeah, so there are 2 more questions from Enya from Mexico, if I'm not wrong. And she asked, if the buffer of your home river that you showed in the iNaturalist page, you created before in SIG and you paste it with KML format, or can you create it directly in the iNaturalist platform?
Carlos, you're on mute.
Sorry. Sorry. What was the question? I was trying to make Cara host again.
Oh, I can reread it. So it says the buffer of your home river that you showed on the iNaturalist page, you created it before in SIG and paste it with KML format, or can you create it directly in the iNaturalist platform?
Right now, you cannot create places on iNaturalist. You have to create it outside iNaturalist and save it as a KML file. For me, the most easiest way is to do it on Google Earth. It's really friendly. You just have to add polygon. I will try to make a short video on that and share it with you on the WhatsApp chat, so you can take a look on that. But you won't be able to edit that. The things about the buffer, I mean, don't focus yourself just on the riverbed. Just leave like some meters, sometimes 20, 30 meters on the after the riverbed, on the sides of the river, because sometimes you won't be able to just step into the river and take photos of biodiversity. You might be seeing maybe an eagle or an egret, a dragonfly, a frog from far away, and the coordinates will be recorded outside the river. So make sure you leave room for the participants to walk along the river. And well, the river is not just the riverbed. Sometimes it has like trees and ravine vegetation. So make sure you leave a couple of meters of that. Is that
next question? The next question is from Fola. Maybe you can read it, Kara?
Yeah, from Fola asked, do you suggest we install the app before going into the field? Yes?
Yes, totally. Make some practice.
Also, organize a session for the entire group before the field expedition. It looks rough and stressful teaching people in the field how to use the app. Yeah,
I'm going to be sharing, or we're going to be sharing some more materials. Some of these tutorial videos that I share, we're going to be sharing this so you can share with the local communities. I have to say that there is a fairly amount of resources in different languages, not just English or Spanish. I mean, there are a lot of people doing translations for local languages, especially for people that, well, doesn't speak Spanish or English or whatever. And it's not really difficult to make short tutorial videos for your audience and how to use iNaturalist. But the one thing it's really recommended is that you use iNaturalist a little bit before. I mean, if you are a new user, it's always good to have like a couple of observations, 5, 10 observations, so you can have practice and you can share that with your community. Remember that we are really interested in people going outside and loving their rivers a little bit more than they do now. When they, with the experience that Jens told us, I mean, they do love more the rivers or any natural area after the Bioblitz. So it's quite important that we take a little practice before we take others into those areas.
And Fola also mentioned that it was difficult to download the iNatural app. Is there anything that would have caused that or can help?
Most of the troubles that we might be facing using iNaturalist is bandwidth or internet access. So that this is why it's strongly recommended that during the Bioblitz, you just focus on taking photographs of the organisms and just go to a good Wi-Fi area and then try to upload those observations. The more common technical questions is failing to upload images, but mostly that's because we don't have the good internet access.
Okay.
That's something that falls out from our hands most of the time.
So really going out to the field, taking the pictures, and afterwards grabbing a coffee or a beer, and then all sitting there on the Wi-Fi, doing it together.
That's it.
Okay, there's a couple more questions. Jens, do we still have time?
Yeah, we still have time, I think, for Natalie's commentary question, which is really nice, and Paula's. Maybe, Natalie, you want to say that by yourself?
Yeah, it's just, I know of another Bioblitz that took place last year where some people who didn't download iNaturalist just sent their images to one person who then uploaded on their behalf. So like a teacher account, so that those observations weren't lost. And I just wondered about thoughts on that, in addition, of course, to getting people to make their own accounts. And in that case, if that's all right, what do we need to ask of those people if they send the images to make sure that there's the time stamp and the place?
That's a very good, it goes along with Fola's comment. It's not recommended to upload observations that you did not take. Most of all, it's because some of these observations will go to biodiversity repositories like GBIF, and it will says who you are. Other researchers or across the planet will say, this is a new species. This is something that has not been recorded around here. Who took the picture? Who shared this information? This is why it's quite important to edit your profile. On your profile, please add your name if you are willing to. Other thing is iNaturalist, the only legal issue is that you have to have 13 years old to use iNaturalist. Legally, you must be 13 years old to use iNaturalist. So if you're going along with your children, you might be uploading on behalf of them. And especially with students, it's sometimes tricky. Just I will say that just in extreme case that like you mentioned, so those observations don't get lost, they can send to other people so they can upload on their behalf, but it's not recommended. It's not, because also it won't actually reflect the number of people that actually were out there also in the project. Sometimes the numbers are called and you can say it's okay, we have 15 students, but they will like just one account for all of them. You will be lost actually how to reflect the real number of people participating on that. It's, I don't know.
We have still, I think you also answered a follow-up question on like uploading observation on behalf of others. And like there is still question like why sometimes iNaturalist doesn't download or install in certain phones. I think this maybe we can, it's something we may discuss later, because we are on we are on time now. There are still some questions which are really nice. I think let's go for 2 more questions and then we just go for the next presentation. Any other question, just feel free to ask on the chat of the WhatsApp group or contact us directly. So don't worry about that. We have enough time to solve any technical issues, but it's more easy, way more easy than it looks. So next question, it's from Paul. She said she created a project on iNaturalist, which is wider than just the surroundings of the river. So do you recommend her to create a new one specific for the river and the actual Bioblitz, including it inside the wider one? So making 2 projects.
Oh, this is a good one. I think, well, for the Bioblitz, it will be just one project, which it will be included in the umbrella project. It will fit for more of your needs. I mean, if you are already having one project doing monitoring of one specific area, but then you want to make a wider polygon for the river, you can create both and just decide whether it suits the best for this Bioblitz. What I will recommend for this Bioblitz, especially if you will be inviting other local communities, participants, and they don't have experience on jumping into the river, just make a wide polygon for the river and use that. Sometimes it really depends on your needs. iNaturalist has this amazing flexibility to allow you deciding on that. I think you just will need to think what fit the best for your audience. Nobody in iNaturalist will tell you, oh, you did another polygon or project. Especially with projects, there are no problems. Sometimes with polygons, they will tell you, oh, this is a duplicate, but that can be later modifier, just deciding which one is the best for the river.
Thank you, Carlos. I just asked because I did started tracking biodiversity in the region, and I was just doubting if now the best will be maybe to really make the surroundings of the river, but to be included in this wilder project, or will be just specific for this Bioblitz, but it will still stay connected to my bigger project.
You can include both. They will be collecting both, but if one of the polygons is inside the other, well, you will just duplicating.
Okay.
I will go just for the wider one, so you could track everything, and you don't need to modify the original one that you already have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul and Carlos. I think the rest of the questions we may have, we may solve them via WhatsApp or emails, and we will share with you also some guidelines concerning like how to create a project and a place. But it's very simple. It's basically like, create a project in iNaturalist. A place is created in Google Earth and then in iNaturalist. It's really fast, and there are like 3-4 steps to do in each one. Any doubt, you just ask me, Vera, Carlos about how to do that. And also about the questions concerning how to use iNaturalist, or if it's good to practice. It's kind of cool, but I was in the Alps 5 days ago. I went there, I identified plants myself because I know about plants. And what I do is like, oh, I don't know about this species, I take a picture. And I did that for 10, 15 species. And when I come back at home at night, I take 5 minutes on uploading the pictures, and the next day, many of them are already identified by my peers. So it's really easy. When you get the flow, it's really easy. So thank you a lot, Carlos. And I insist to you all on contacting Carlos if you all have any question. He's the most open and awesome person that you may find in iNaturalist and Nat Geo